Hi. Until now, we've almost just used the default cube that appears when we launch the software. Once we already assumed the essential working methods in the software, which is the state in which we are right now, we can start learning how to change the shape of an object, its geometry. Doing this is what we call modeling. Okay, we are going to see basic modeling methods with a particular kind of object and geometry, which is called mesh. Okay, mesh geometry, mesh object type. There are other geometry types such as curves, text, and others, but we will focus by now on meshes because it's the most general geometric type of objects. Okay, the things that we apply on mesh we can usually apply on other types of geometry. Um, as a practical example, we will follow the modeling process to create a die starting from a similar shape, which is a cube. Um, and we will also see a really elementary introduction to materials. Materials are the physical response to light of surfaces, okay, kind of. And how to link several materials to a single geometry if we need to. Okay, so let's start. Modeling is the process by which we give shape to something that has the elements to receive it. Usually we start from simple shapes such as cubes, cylinders, or spheres that we progressively deform or combine. To start doing the first test on how to model in Blender, let's create a test scene with a proper name, test for example. Start by creating any kind of a mesh object. We can choose, for example, cylinder. If we press F6 or T key, we can access the creation parameters of this geometry: resolution, height, diameter, called radius here, but it's the same, etc. Remember that those options will be available just until any other action is done. The mode under which we worked until now is called object mode because it allows to change the object properties: location, rotation, and scale. Although these transformations are useful, they don't provide us with any way to change the essential shape of this object, a cylinder in this case. It is important to tell the difference between the object properties and the particular geometry we see on the object. Note that in objects that have geometry, this is actually their role in the scene, their object data. So the object data of this object just created is this cylinder-shaped geometry. If we want to change this geometry, we have to switch to another mode called precisely edit mode. We do this pressing the tab key after making sure that the object linked to the geometry we wanted to edit was the active one. In edit mode, we aren't going to work with any other object, but only with the particular geometry linked to this object. As soon as the tab key is pressed, it changes the way the geometry is presented, and at each vertex of the geometry there are dots called precisely like this, vertices. We can select and transform them in a similar fashion we did before with objects. Let's do an example, selecting that vertex here, and with shift this other one here, and I can move, rotate, and scale them. restricting the transformation to an axis or a plane, etc. Two vertices can be connected, and in this situation they form what we call an edge. To connect two vertices with an edge, we select them and press F. Also, once we have three or more edges connected, we can make them form a face, also by pressing the F key. We can choose to work with vertices, edges, or faces using these buttons here, or with all of them pressing Shift. But the usual way to quickly switch between those three modes, we will use the shortcut Ctrl-Tab. When we have vertices, edges, or faces selected, we can do several things. We can duplicate them with Shift-D, as we already know with objects. We can extrude in a freehand way, kind of a freehand way, with Ctrl and left mouse button click. Keep in mind that the geometry created will depend on what we have previously selected when we started this operation. We can also extrude in a perpendicular direction using E key. And other usual modeling procedures are subdivide and other operations that are inside the specials menu that appears when pressing the W key. Subdivide using loops. You can do it with Ctrl-R and then turn or spin the mouse wheel to set the number of subdivisions. You can also rip using V or cut using K. And obviously there are many other modeling procedures. The same way we observed that shortcuts R, G, S and Shift-D are used the way we already knew with objects, we can also do the box selection method with B key. We can also use a brush-based selection method with C key. Since here we don't have the time to dive on all the available tools, keep in mind that you can discover them by examining the menus, where you will find their corresponding shortcuts as well.